Hello, Becky Carlson here, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. My website is Lady Stamper. You can find more information there on my cards. But today we're going to be making a couple of fun cards using some new products from the Stampin' Up! Catalog. Here's one of the cards that we're going to be making. We're going to be using some DSP paper, die cutting, stamps, paper, sponging, well, blending, and stamps. Okay, so here's the stamps that we're going to be using. That was the Zany Zoo set. It's got these die cuts to go with it to coordinate, and then we're going to use some of this DSP, which is the Zoo Crew paper that also coordinates with these images on here. They're so cute, and I've made several cards like this using the different images for all different occasions. So we're going to be also using the Patchwork Pieces die cut. This one caught my eye right away in the new catalog. It's got two dies. They're background dies, or I guess you could use them other ways. I'm going to use them as a background. One's swirly and one's kind of a starburst. I'm going to start by using this one right here, and I've already cut out two of these, one each from two different of the papers in that Zoo Crew paper. So I cut them out so that I'm seeing two different sides on there. One is the dark white, or the dark black, and the other one is white. To make this a little more festive, I am going to sponge it to kind of just change it up a bit. So my first little area, I'm going to use my Real Red pad. And when I first did this, I did it kind of light. The cool thing about sponging is that you can do it light and then always go darker. It's hard to take it off once you put it on. So if you do it light and then you're like, okay, I like this, you can always go back and add more, make it more intense, depending on how you want it to look. Okay, so I did the first one with Real Red, kind of light. Then I'm going to go to my next one with some pumpkin pie, or pumpkin pie, I guess that's how you say it. I'm going to sponge that on there. So I'm going to give it a good even coverage. I want it to be for sure in the middle and then on the sides. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take some of that pumpkin pie and I'm going to put it back on the first piece so that you see what the color is coming next, because these won't stay next to each other through the whole thing. So this one I'm still kind of feeling out what I want to do here, but I'm going to put some red up on the orange, and then because I want it to stand alone and be able to show the full rainbow effect without all the pieces, because I'm going to combine these two sets of die cuts here. We're going to put them together to make two cards. You could probably see how that's gonna look a little bit. Okay, my next color is Daffodil Delight, so I'm going to put some of that yellow on there. Cool thing about these brushes is I know some people may label them per color, and that's fabulous. I'd love to sell you that many brushes, but if you're like me, a little more frugal, you don't have money for that many brushes, if it's got yellow on it, it's going to work. It's going to work for yellow. So anything close to yellow I can use on there. And I've not ever washed mine out, but I know some people do. But once the color is dry in there, I haven't found or had any problems with it. Like if I go to another color, it doesn't bring the color that was dried onto the brush to the next project. So I think it's fine just to have like a yellow brush, a red brush, a blue brush, a green brush, brown brush, all the colors that you use. Okay, so you can see on that second one it's got the red, orange, and yellow. And then on the third one, I'm going to need to add some more of the red, or some more of the orange, but first I'm going to go to green. So this is our Parakeet Party green. It's one of the in colors. It is a little bit similar to the Granny Apple green, which is one of my favorite greens, but this one goes well with it, and I think it's just a little brighter. A little more yellow in it, and so it's fun. It goes with this Daffodil Delight nicely. So again, I added it to the yellow, and then I'm going to put it on the next one, so that'll be our green wedge, but then I'm also going to keep some of that yellow showing on there, so that it's going to show the whole rainbow without having to have the whole rainbow in there. So at this point, I think I get confused as to how this goes together. Because it looks wonky. It doesn't look like it should go together the way it does, but it does. So you just gotta kind of keep them in order, and then you'll see how they work. Yeah, it's like a puzzle. I like puzzles, so if you like puzzles, this is a fun one for you. Look for the corner. So there we go. Now it's all lined up. So I'm going to go back to this one and put green on the other side. It's going to be fine because again I can add my other color on top of the green at the top, and it'll just be a little bit darker, and it'll be fine. Sponging is pretty forgiving. You just go to another color, as long as you go darker, I guess. So then I'm bringing in I think this is Tahitian Tide. I think it is. Might be Pool Party. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just going to sponge the blue on there. Any blue will work. We're just going for a rainbow here. Rainbow's kind of a rainbow. Honestly, when I was in school, we did not learn the colors of a rainbow and make an acronym out of it. Isn't that weird? I know they do now. My kids all know it. I'm like, I don't know. It's just a rainbow. Pretty colors in order. This makes sense. Okay, so I intensify a little bit, and then I'm going to leave this last one blue because I didn't want to go back to red or purple. I wanted to keep it kind of basic, and it's so small that I wouldn't be able to get really more than one color on there. And I wanted blue on both of my cards, so I'm just going to have 2 blue here, and it'll make sense. And this is where I decided that maybe that red wasn't quite dark enough, so I'm going to go back again. You can always go back and just intensify it. And that's really going to make it pop down there. Like that pretty red color. So pretty. And now I almost feel like I should take my grid paper and make something out of it with all those smeary colors in there. It looks pretty cool. Alright, so you could easily take these and glue them down one by one. Just put them together and hope they line up. Use some liquid glue. You can kind of smush them around till they're in order. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to actually start with my toppers. So I cut out the little tiger ballerina on here, and I'm going to make her for this card. So I'm going to color her with my blends and kind of do some of the same colors that I had in my card on the little ballerina. So the cool thing about these backgrounds is the die cuts, you can put them either way, landscape or portrait, and they're going to look good. I mean, you can do lots of different things with them. So I'll start out with coloring a little bit. This is the Sweet Sorbet. Get some of that red on there. And then you notice how I label my markers, and it makes me happy now because my eyes just couldn't see them before. And I'm using different colors than I used to sponge, but they all kind of go together. It's all good. This is the Lemon Lime Twist. So fun. I don't know why this video is so grainy. I had some issues with that, so hopefully you can see it okay. It's a basic idea. And we got our lemon twist here, or lemon lolly, sorry, lemon lolly. So it's going to be, instead of just doing pink tutus, I'm going to do it really festive to go with the background on here. Maybe those will be for my granddaughter. She turned 1 next week. I can't believe that. I haven't been around her nearly enough for her to be 1 already. She doesn't live close to me, and that's horrible. But it makes those visits extra sweet, I guess. This could also work. It also kind of looks like a road to me. Maybe a road going off into the distance. I've used this card with the little alligator on a bike and had him going down the road. I thought that looked cool. At first I thought I could spread it apart and put gaps between it, but it goes corner to corner diagonally, so it doesn't quite work that way. So for my little tiger, I'm coloring the whole thing in here with one of the neutrals, and then I'm going to go back and add some color for the stripes. So I give it a nice base coat, or base color, and then I'll go back and add a darker color for the stripes. And for these ones, you just look at the numbers, there's not really names for them. And so this I can leave the little inside of the ears pink, and other little areas I can leave it the lighter color and just add the dark on there. Gosh, this is really where you can see how grainy it is on my screen. It's kind of weird. I colored in, and I like to do 2 die cuts so that then I can stack them and give it a little more stability. See, now I can leave a little pink tummy, make it look like my cats, or color it in all the way. My cats don't like their tummies touched anyway. They'll lay there with it exposed, like with a come hither look, and then when I do come hither, they bite me, and they're like, why are you touching me? It's just a strange relationship. Anyway, there's my little tiger dancer. Okay, and then I'm going to put this together. Okay, so here's how I have found to be a really fun, effective way to put it together. So you want to go in your kitchen and get out your press and seal, which honestly I've only ever used in my craft room. I have not used it in my kitchen, but I hear it's really good for keeping your meat from getting freezer burn. That's what one of my customers told me, so maybe I'll try that. But for now, it's in my craft room. And if you've never used it, it's just like a plastic sheet that's just a little bit tacky on one side. Not tacky like your mom's green fridge, but tacky like a little bit sticky. But it's not really the kind of sticky that will come off. Okay, so just lay this down and then put your die cut on it. Try to get as flat as you can, then press it into that. And then you're just going to put your die cut images in there, face down, because this is the back. And so I'm going to alternate between my rainbow sheets and this black DSP. So what we're seeing is the back. It almost looks like the same paper because it has those images I was telling you about. So when you're doing this, you want to kind of just gently put it in there and wiggle it around until you feel it lock into the grooves. So this set has like stitch holes all the way around each little wedge piece, and so you can kind of wiggle it in until you feel it lock into those pieces. Okay, so yeah, you really have to keep your head on here because they look so similar on the back that you might think you have the same DSP going instead of two different ones. But I think I did okay. So I'm just going to put them all on here, and you press it in the middle there so that it holds it in place. This is going to make it super easy for assembly. It's all together. And at this point you could use your tape runner on here if you wanted to. That would be fine. I'm really a liquid glue girl, so I like to do that because it gives me some wiggle room to make sure things are lined up how I really want them to be. And it's also a little less expensive because that tape runner, boy, we just go through tons of it. So, and then when you're out, you're out. Whereas I can buy a bunch of these little bottles of two-way glue, and then, well, not two-way glue, but monoadhesive, and use those. Okay, so I'm going to just take this, and I almost always use the tiny tip, but you could use either one. You want to put it all over the back, and be careful when you go over the seams, because if you put a bunch of glue in there, you're going to end up gluing it to your die, which we had that happen in class. That was fun. And then just take the corner of your piece of paper. So this isn't an actual card, this is just a piece of paper or a cardstock. Line it up with the corner, and then just press it in. Press it down into that die cut. And I'm sure you can imagine what's happening on the other side. Everything is getting glued down in the perfect spot where it should be. It's like stamping magic. So then just peel this off, and look how cute that is. Isn't that so cute? I just love it. And then your die cut should just lift right off, unless you got glue on it. And then it's lined up perfectly. It's great. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with the other pieces. So you can get two little card front elements out of this. So we're going to do exactly the same thing here. We're going to, except it'll be opposite patterns this time. Just wiggle it until it gets in the groove. And you find after you do this a few times, you get pretty good at it. And it's pretty quick. You see how I'm just kind of shimmying it back and forth until it gets in the groove. Isn't that a song, Get in the Groove? Probably from the 80s. Anyway, so we did this at card class a few weeks ago. And I just had a bunch of my DSP out there, and people did lots of different patterns. So I'll show you at the end some of the different color combinations that the gals did, and they're so cute. I love seeing what other people do with the ideas I give them. I love encouraging their own personal creativity and seeing how they can just make it their own. So that is just one of the joys of being a demonstrator, is being able to kind of inspire people, give them the tools and then some inspiration to go and do their own creative process. I love that. I've been a demonstrator for almost 30 years, and yeah, love it. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my glue on the back here. Avoid getting it in those grooves. You want it to be pretty good coverage over the whole thing so it'll all stick down. So you want to go over the edges, but you don't want to get down in the crevices. So again, you just take the corner of your paper, just line it up. You could also just cut a piece of cardstock the perfect size. I just didn't do that. I figure that's one less thing I have to do. I have to do this and then cut it off. And I've got that extra bits of paper that I would use for sentiments or die cuts or what have you. So there's our second one. Look how fast that went together. Now you have two beautiful background elements that are lined up great, except for this one piece. See, that's where I didn't get enough glue there or something, but that wasn't a big problem. Just stick it back on. And so they're opposite colors there, but I have kind of the full rainbow on both of them. And then you just take your scissors or your paper trimmer, and I just line it up with that cutting line. And since I lined it up with the corner of the paper, it should line up straight. It should, in a perfect world. I like to pretend I live in a perfect world, so we'll see. I'm actually under no illusions of that, but still. See, this one I needed to trim just a little bit more, but not a big deal. Still a super cute element there that I can't pick up with my nails. Set aside, do the other one. Look how fast we're doing these 2 cards. Super fast. Well, I think it's super fast. And it'll be even faster for you because I've already come up with the idea. You can just copy it. So great. Okay, so these, ready? Okay, so now you're ready to put your card together. So I went ahead and got a couple of card bases. I'm using the basic white thick card stock. This one's a top folding card here. Punch it down. And then you could glue these straight onto the front of your card. You know I love dimensionals, so I'm going to pop it up, dimensionize it, give it lots of dimension because I think that's fun. Just makes it seem a little more polished and substantial, I guess. I go through a lot of dimensionals, as you can see, but I don't want the middle to sag, so I'm going to put it all over here, all the edges on the middle, so that it will stay up nice and firm. And the fact that we do have the thick cardstock and a layer of DSP on there, that makes it stand up better. Here's a fun tip. If you're using this press and seal paper, you can put all your little dimensional toppers on there and then just wad it up at the end and you don't have a huge mess. Unless you just really like throwing them on the floor and vacuuming them up, because sometimes I just do. It's a rebel in me, I guess. So now this one can go either way, of course, depending on how you want to set up your card. I've got mine going up and down here. I got it the portrait way. It's going to over the top, so just kind of center it on there. You don't have to center it, you could put it off to the side if you wanted to. There's that, and then I've got my little tiger ballerina here. I'm going to pop her up as well. But first I want to make sure that she is thick enough to really hold her own on the front of this card. So I'm going to make sure I have 2 of her. So I cut her out twice, and I'm going to layer my 2 tigers on top of each other. Usually I'll stamp it twice and cut it out and see which one I like better, but in this case, the first one I cut out was just fine, so I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid glue, stick it together so she's just a little bit thicker and she won't get smashed so bad. Is it good to be smashed as well? No. She will stand up nicely. Take some more dimensionals, and put them on the back of her there. This might be a good time to pull out those tiny dimensionals, the mini ones that would fit on that leg right there. You can also just cut it in half, or you can use a little side edge like this, just cut it and use all those little bits and pieces. And that's about the width of a tiger leg there. So put on there, and then again take all these off and make sure that they are stuck to this paper so they don't go flying all over the place. And I'll just put it right down there at the side. I just put dimensionals on the side where it's going to hit that DSP pattern. Isn't that fun? Okay, and then I felt like I needed some words on here. So there are some words in this Zany Zoo set. So I'm going to stamp the little happy birthday to you on some white cardstock, and then this little pennant die, cutout, this is one of the dies in this set. So you can stamp it and just cut it out, sponging a little bit with yellow just to make it pop out. Then you could pop it up with some dimensionals, of course, or you could just glue it straight down. I'm going to glue it straight down because I already have a couple layers on this with 2 dimensionals high at some point, so I'm just going to glue it straight down up on there, hanging off the top there. It also covers up some of that big black area. I think it just kind of pulls it all together. So there's our card. Isn't that cute? I think it's cute. Kind of looks like she's like the music coming off of her, or the dance coming off of her. Then I have this other one, and so I'll show you a different way to use this with a different layout, different stamp on this one here. So this one I'm going to make going the other way. So I still have a top loading card, but I'm just going to turn on its side, and again I will pop it up with some dimensionals, kind of the same placement on the card, but it's going to be opening from the side, this time instead. Just a little different formatting here. Of course, you could do it however you want. I also used some of these little panels that I made on a gift bag. You can make it on the front of a gift bag, at the top of a little box you make. You could cut it in half and have 2 different little mini patterns. It's really versatile. This one I wanted it to kind of come out from the left, or from the right, sorry. Almost looks like little funky sun rays or something. It could be whatever you want. But this one I'm just going to add some words to. So in the same set there's a warm hello, so I stamped that with black on my white paper, and then I'm going to punch it out with a circle punch. I believe this is my 1 3/4 punch. Or you could use a die here, of course. And then I don't want the whole circle necessarily, so I'm going to actually take it and cut it off. But first I'll punch out a little bit bigger circle. This one, it might be 1 inch and 1 1/4. Anyway, circles, layering circles. So I'm going to sponge it a bit with that yellow again. And some orange. I'm going to put the whole rainbow around the whole thing, which I didn't need to do because I'm going to end up cutting this off. But at this point I'm still figuring out what I'm doing. Got some blue on there. So I kind of wanted to continue the rainbow theme here, just because I like rainbows and the promise that they represent. They're a happy thing. Okay, so I put on there and I thought this is a little bit too big. It could work if I placed my background a little bit higher. So I'm just going to cut off the bottom. I'm just going to eyeball it. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to just glue it on that circle. So it's another way you can use your circles. They don't have to be full circles. You can cut them off. Now it kind of looks like a sunset idea here. And you could leave a little border on all the sides. I cut it off right there so it's like sinking into the water, maybe. Then I'm just going to stick it right on the corner there. A few more dimensionals, because I think my goal is to use all the dimensionals I possibly can. I don't know. Quick and easy way to make it seem just a little more special. So put those on there so that it'll stand up nice and hold its own. And then we have like a little sort of a rainbow going, or a rainbow sunset. It must be in Arizona because we don't have water necessarily, but we do have wonderful sunsets here and sunrises. So just stick it over on the edge right there. And there's our second card. Made the backgrounds for 2 cards all at the same time. And then of course, you know, I love to add the wink of Stella, so I just went back and added a little bit of that. So it has a little bit of shimmer. It's going to be really hard to see in this video just because it's so grainy. It's hard to see anyway, but in person this wink of Stella is just wonderful. Just adds a little shimmer here and there, and there's no loose glitter. And then this one I ended up just like splattering it all over because I just kind of wanted the whole thing to kind of have some sparkle. Very warm hello. So here's my one card. I like it. I'm pretty happy with it. And then I can just take all that trash and wrap it up and my spot is clean. At least the spot you can see, right? True crafters know what I'm talking about. So there's this card. Here's the first card that I made. Okay, and then I told you that we did this at class. I want to show you some other color options that I did. I used some different DSP and did some different color options. So here's a very sunny one using a little raccoon. And these ones have 3 colors. So there's the solid yellow and then the orange and the other color. And then these ones are with that new masterfully made DSP that I absolutely love. Okay, as I told you, I also made a little gift bag using one of these panels. But this one I just used an envelope. If you don't know how to do this, I will show it another time. Here are some of the color combinations that some of the gals came up with at class. I love this pink and purple and blue. And this one, I never would have put these colors together, but I really like it. Okay, now we're going to move on to the other die in this set. Make some cards with this. Now this was the first one that I actually played with, and when I first saw it in the catalog, I thought it would be so cool to cut it out and then just expand so it could fill up the whole front of a card possibly. So that is what I'm going to show you how to do. So this one's a little bit different than the other one. You could do it the same if you're going to leave it in the same closeness, but for this one I did a little bit different. So I went ahead and used one of our large rectangles. I think this is the second to largest one in the stitch rectangle dies. And I'm going to cut it out. And I've cut it out of some white, ultra thick, or the thick white cardstock that I put some double-sided adhesive, or adhesive sheets on one side. Okay, so it's got sticky on the back. So I'm going to cut it out, and then I will have a big sticky rectangle basically. Okay, and so one side's peeled off, you put cardstock on it, and then when you cut it out, you've got another side you can still peel off, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got my sticky rectangle, my die, and I just need to cut out my DSP now. So see, it's just a little bit bigger than that. Okay, it was at this point that I really wanted to use this new masterfully made DSP. Look at this paper, it is so gorgeous. You can't even tell in this picture how gorgeous it is. these florals and the torn paper elements are just so beautiful. It can be feminine, it can be fun, it can be masculine with that back stuff. I really wanted to use it, but it just wasn't going to work for what I was trying to do this time. I wanted to use this one, but I would have lost a lot of the roses. It just wouldn't have worked out so well. So I ended up putting that aside, unfortunately. I'll use it again, no worries, but I pulled out the holographic paper, RDSP, which is really nice. It goes with the new astronaut set. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It is so shiny. It is so shiny. So I already had some cut because I dug into this right away. So I thought that would be good for this one. So I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to cut this starburst die out with the holographic paper. And I think this is going to work out a little bit better. So I run it through my die cut machine here, which you don't get to watch me do. It's just off to the side, but I am doing it, I promise. Cut it out, and then I'll bring it back and show you how to do this other technique using these patchwork piece dies. These are a great staple to have in your craft repertoire. Can work for so many things. And I'm looking even that piece, the leftovers, and that could be something. But anyway, so I'm just going to cut this all out, and then I've got the pieces here. So then what I did was I took this cardstock that had the adhesive on it, and I'm going to peel off one side of it. So one side is stuck to the white cardstock, and one side just has the transfer paper, I guess what it's called, on it. So I'm just going to peel that off, and now I have a big sticky surface. Okay, so you could also, again, do this just with glue and glue each piece down. I just thought this might be a little bit quicker. So since I kept it in my die, they're all still in order. So start at your corners. Just line it up with your corner and stick it down, and it is stuck. There you go. It's on. No gluey fingers or anything. So I went to my 4 corners, just like doing a jigsaw puzzle. Everybody says, do your corners first. So think of that. Do your corners first. And you're just going to stick it on here. So since this rectangle that we die cut is a little bit bigger, then the die cut is going to leave a little bit of space in between each of these little wedges. So it's making it a little bit bigger, and we'll have some space in between. And you could do different things with this. You could emboss it, you could put glitter in there, beads, whatever you want to do there. You could stick something over the whole front of it, but I wouldn't do that. But you could. Okay, but I'm just going to glue down each of these. So I've got my corners in, and then I'll go to the middle, and this is where probably I could have measured and made it just perfect, but I didn't. So I'm just eyeballing it, looking for like maybe 1/2 centimeter between each of these pieces. That one's going to be a little closer in the middle, but I feel like it doesn't really matter. It just kind of adds to the artisticness of it if it's not completely perfect, right? You can get perfect at the store. Handmade, that's part of the charm. It's a little less than perfect sometimes, but that's how people know that we made it. We put our heart and soul into it, right? So I'm going to stick these guys on here, and this adhesive paper is so great to use with die cuts. I love to use it with really fine die cuts, like words and phrases. That's really nice because it's already sticky. You don't have to like try and get glue on the back of all those tiny little pieces you might have. And so that's really where I use a lot of these adhesive sheets is there. But this also is great because of what we're going to do with this. Okay, so we're almost done. We got 2 more pieces here. Stick this on here, just lining up the edge. And you see the edges are all still lined up, but the middle, because it's a little bit bigger, it's going to just give us that gap in the middle between each of these pieces. So that's kind of cool. And then we've got that big empty space in the middle. And there's that background. That paper is so pretty. You can see all those different colors in there. So again, another rainbow card for some reason, but it's just really, really pretty. So now we're going to fill in the gaps with some glitter. I got some big chunky glitter that I got, I don't know, years ago. Any glitter would work. I just wanted this to be really bling-alicious. Bling-alicious. That's my new word. Bling-alicious. So I'm going to get my little tray out. This is my embossing kit. Put that over on it, and this is the kind of glitter you got to kind of push into it. But I'm going to get this ready to go and just dump the glitter. And since all those little white lines are just the adhesive showing, it's going to grab hold of all that glitter and hold it. Gosh, this almost looks like an American flag or American colors. It looks red, white, and blue in here. It's more purple and yellow and green in person. But get that on there. brush off any little pieces that static held onto. There's your pat card. Isn't that fabulous? I love how sparkly and shiny and shimmery this is. It's definitely an attention grabber. This embossing kit is great. It comes with the tray. The new ones have a screw off little thing there, which is so much better than what I've got, because mine you have to kind of get your fingernails in there and pry it off. The new one screws off, so that's fabulous. It comes with a little brush. It comes with the tweezers, so you're set to go. Everything you need, so it's pretty cool. Get most of the glitter out of the way there, and then I can press that in. I'll go through and kind of press in all the glitter just to make sure it stays. But then I'm going to stick this on a card and put a little center on it, and then it will be done. You could also use some heat and stick. Well, you wouldn't need to use heat and stick powder because that's basically what this adhesive is. It's sticky in there. But that's how it's holding together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the front of a card. Again, this one is a top folding 5.5 by 4.25 basic card. This is the size we usually make, since it's a quarter of the size of a piece of normal cardstock. So that's why they're all this size. Okay, I'm just going to glue this on. Because it is so chunky, I don't think I need to dimensionize it, because it's already going to be kind of sticking up with all those chunks of glitter. So I'm just going to glue it flat on there, and that will be just fine. I'm going to center it in the middle of this card here. Try not to get glue on my fingers, because then it will leave a nasty fingerprint on this gorgeous shiny paper. So press it in real good. You're pressing the glue in, and you're also pushing all that glitter into that adhesive, and brush the rest off on your floor, of course. Okay, then I just need something in the middle. So I could go back to my Zany Zoo set and use something from there, or another set, whatever works for you. I decided to go ahead and use the new set, the Circle Sayings, and so I stamped a little cupcake with the celebrate around it and mounted it onto a circle just a little bit larger than that of the same holographic paper. Then I'm just going to color it in with some blends. I got some light blackberry here, because that kind of looks like the darkest purple in this holographic paper. So it's colored it along the edges where I want it to be the darkest, and then I'll add a lighter color on there to kind of blend it together. I love this little Circle Saying set. Again, this is one of the first ones that jumped out at me because I thought it was just so versatile. You just die cut out those or punch out those circles, and you can layer them up. Lots of different options. So I'm pairing my light blackberry with some light Highland heather, because no rules say you have to stay with the same color, light and dark. You can totally do what you want there. I think these kind of bring out all the variations of purple between these two friendly colors. And then I just need to color in my little cupcake tin. So we'll make it look like it's metal, because, you know, if you're going to have a holographic party like this, you probably have metal cupcake tins. I think I would. So I'm just going to add a little bit on there. Make it look all kind of metallic and shiny, as it were. I feel like this birthday card could work for a boy or a girl, really, because it's just shiny. I actually gave my dad a card for Father's Day that had some glitter on it, and he was totally fine with it. It was the wave card that we will see in an upcoming video. Anyway, I went back and added some Wink of Stella on here, just a little bit of shimmer. I don't know that we really needed it because we had so much, but I just love adding it to everything. So there's that card. And then, of course, a few little sequins here and there to kind of just go, you know, over the top with this. I think that's what we need to do. The sticky point, the putty one would be much easier to work with on this one, but oh, and I did have a tiny spot where my stamping got a little smeared, so I'm going to put a sequin right over it, and no one will know. Well, you'll know because I just told you, but you probably can't even see it in this video because it's a little bit grainy. But that's what made me put some bling on it, I remember. So there we go. There's our card with all the glitter in those holes. Again, we just used the adhesive sheets on some white cardstock and then stuck down the wedges on there. Here's that other one that I did using some of the other DSP, and this little guy is, this turtle is from the Plain in the Rain set. And then I just used the cloud punch for the words, and then I had to kind of chop it down. This one I did the exact same way as what we just did, except instead of glitter, I used clear embossing powder on those lines, and it just gives it like a little bit of a shimmer instead of so chunky. And then the other one I did, the turtle one, I just glued down. I didn't use the sticky paper. So I hope you like these cards. If you would like to order any of these products, please contact me. I would love to get you hooked up with some Stampin' Up! Merchandise or have you come to one of my classes. Anyway, all the other details will be on my website, so follow the link below and have a creative day.